Welcome to Wake Up and Live with Christopher Flagg. This is a daily podcast to encourage and inspire godly living. Let's join in and listen to today's message.
Good morning. Thank you for tuning in and listening as we begin this great Monday to start off our week. This last week, during the week, we've just been talking about how do we get past our if-only regrets and really move into our what-if possibilities of life. I would ask a question. Would you fast for 22 days if at the end of that, fast food for 22 days, and at the end of that, you would get $100 million to give to whatever organization that you would want? Would you do that? Of course you would, right? Of course you would. But I want you to hold that thought for just a second. There's an iconic scene in the cult classic The Matrix that makes for a great metaphor. Morpheus gives Neo a choice between two pills. You take the blue pill and the story ends. You wake up in your bed and you believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill and you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. The red pill is what if. It's the rabbit hole of faith. And one way you pop the pill is by practicing the spiritual discipline of fasting. The full benefit of fasting is beyond the scope of this message, but it's one of the best ways to break the power of the flesh. If you can say no to food, you can say no to just about anything. No matter what addiction you struggle with, fasting is the way you break the yoke of bondage. No matter what cause you care about, fasting invites the favor of God. In God's kingdom, fasting is the way you go faster, go further. It's not a shortcut, but it is a moving sidewalk. And when you abstain from food, it shows God you're serious. And God takes that seriously. It really honors Him. And the reality is this: some spiritual breakthroughs are only possible with the combination of prayer and fasting. When you fast and pray, the synergy is more than the sum of its parts. So let me ask that question again. Would you fast for 22 days if you knew you would net $100 million for a cause you care about? The catch, of course, is that fasting doesn't come with a money-back guarantee. If it did, it wouldn't require faith. But fasting is one way we ask, what if? If you fail to fast, you're popping the blue pill. You're maintaining the status quo and thereby missing out on the supernatural breakthroughs. You'll never know what God would have or could have done. You're only left with the if only. We waste 83.2% of our emotional energy on things we cannot control. All right, I totally made the percentage up, but I think it's a ballpark number. But don't worry about what you cannot control. Don't even worry about something grand or glorious. Just do what you know is right and make sure you do it for God. Have you ever thought about fasting? And all that stands between you and the 100 million miracle may be the little if. Fasting is one of the best ways to what if. If you feel like your dream is in a holding pattern, try fasting. If you feel like your marriage is maintaining the status quo, try fasting. If your heart is breaking for your kids, try fasting. If you need a breakthrough, try fasting. If you need to make a big decision, try fasting. This is so important. Let me drill down on it. We have more than 600 skeletal muscles in our body. For what it's worth, if all of them pulled in one direction, you could lift 25 tons. The hardest working muscle is the heart. It pumps 25,000 gallons of blood through 60,000 miles of veins, arteries, and capillaries every single day. And it has the capacity to beat more than 3 billion times without skipping a beat. The largest muscle is the gluteus maximus. And despite what you've probably heard, the strongest muscle is not the tongue. By weight, it is the masseter muscle in your jaw that can clench your teeth with a force as great as 200 pounds on the molars. I mean, the muscles in the eye may be the most active. If you read a book for an hour, the eyes make 10,000 coordinated movements. And then there are 43 muscles in the face, most of which are controlled by the 7th cranial nerve. And according to one study, it takes 43 muscles to frown and 17 muscles to smile. So in this one instance, I recommend the path of resistance. Of all the muscles, the most important, in my opinion, is the no muscle. It's the muscle you have to flex anytime you say no to dessert because you're on a diet, or no to sex because it is sacred covenant between a husband and wife, or no to snooze buttons because it's time to get up and get into God's word. When you say no to temptation, you are flexing your no muscle. I mean, the obvious question is, how do you exercise the no muscle? You know how to work out your heart muscle. You get in good shape with a cardiovascular workout. You know how to exercise your pectorals. You hit the bench press. And you know how to exercise your quads. You do some squats. So how do you exercise your no muscle? Fasting. Spiritually speaking, nothing will take you further faster than fasting. You must fast unto God, but it breaks through strongholds and yields through breakthroughs. At its core, fasting is the way we declare to God that we need Him and we want Him more than food itself. I mean, it takes a tremendous discipline to give up food, but doing so cultivates discipline in other areas of our lives. It's the discipline that begets discipline. If you can say no to food, you can say no to anything, and that will cut down on the if only regrets. The best way to kill sinful desires is by starving them to death. And that's precisely what fasting does. It doesn't just weaken your physical body, it weakens your sinful flesh, and it simultaneously strengthens your spirit. A few years ago, I read a little book by Anna Stanley titled Choosing to Cheat, and one sentence was a game changer for me. It became one of the most quoted quotes. It says this: "To say yes to one," says Andy, "is to say no to the other." Of course, the opposite is true as well. Saying no to one thing is saying yes to something else. Fasting isn't just saying no to food, it's saying yes to God. I mean, most of us keep a to-do list, but you might be even more beneficial to stop doing the list, right? You need to curse the barren fig tree. Remember the tree that wasn't producing fruit? Jesus cursed it. You have some barren fig trees in your life, things that are just simply really taking up time, taking up space. It's hard to say no to anything, even those things that aren't working, but that's how you make room for what if. While I'm not necessarily prescribing you follow some annual word or ritual, but you might want to give it a try. Maybe this year, as you come into the new year, your annual word's going to be no. You're going to say no to some things in your life. You're going to say no and say yes to a lot more things of God. And if you're not sure maybe you'll choose a different word. Why not start with the word if? Again, there are 1,784 ifs in the scriptures. I mean, that'll keep you busy for a while. What if you tried a food fast, a media fast, or a complaining fast for 10, 21, or 40 days? So today's Romans 8 verses, it was weakened by the flesh. Maybe some things in your life need to be weakened. Maybe as you fast some certain things and you become weakened in your flesh, then God can begin to move in the spirit inside you and around you and in your life and throughout your life. I just say give it a chance. Maybe today you have a choice. Do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill? Which pill do you want to choose? Do you just want to stay with the status quo? Or maybe you have some things in your life that you really need to see breakthrough in, and you need to take the other pill. Take a chance. Take a what if possibility or what if moment. As we're coming into the new year, God has a what if for your life, and it starts today. So I would just encourage you to pray about this. Maybe you say, I just couldn't go without food. I just couldn't do it. I've heard people say that, but maybe you underestimate yourself, or more likely you're underestimating what God can do in your life. So I encourage you, take a chance today, step out, wake up and live empowered, blessed, and loved by God, and maybe take this opportunity to see some great breakthrough as you head into the Christmas season and the things about Jesus. And I just hope and I know that if you take this opportunity, God will do something in your life. Test Him in it. See if He will. I know you say test Him in it, but give it a try and see what God will do. I thank you so much for tuning in today as it was Monday. I hope you have a great week. Join me tomorrow as we continue to look at the next verse in Romans 8. And I believe that God will bless you today. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for tuning in today for Wake Up and Live. Join us each day for a new inspiring message. Also check out our Saturday morning's Word and Worship for 30 minutes of getting refueled, plus our Sunday sermon series on the seasons of life.